Hello, everybody. Welcome to Raising Vibrations and your assignment today. So, today's video, we're going to be looking at the full moon in Cancer, and this is going to be for the 17th and 18th of January 2022. Hope you guys are well and that this video finds you at a certain amount of peace, although I don't suspect this full moon is going to come along and just be a nice little casual drift. It's going to be very intense. It's going to be some emotional tidal waves. And the best thing that we can do is to kind of ride out the storm, not needing to try and fix things, but to actually just be present with what is really arising for us. Because there's a tremendous amount of awareness that we can access, conscious awareness that we can access with this full moon in Cancer. All right, so the roadmap for today is going to be, I want to talk to you about Pluto entering gate 60, which in human design, gate of limitation, if you know the I Ching. The nodes, of course, are shifting, right? North node is moving into Taurus, South node is moving into Scorpio, so that's a big thing. Of course, Uranus is going to be turning direct today, so that's going to start to speak volumes to the ongoing square that has been taking place between Saturn and Uranus, right? The social landscape reorganization there. And of course, we've got this, Mercury retrograde at the moment, but we've got this full moon, right? With Pluto and the Sun making a conjunction, and then of course the moon really reflecting the themes that this Sun-Pluto conjunction is about, but also, what has Venus retrograde really been about for us as well. So that's the roadmap, and hopefully we'll be able to get some information in this video today that can help us make sense of things, how we can reorientate and hopefully recognize that these experiences that we're having at this point in time don't feel like we're going crazy, right? Okay, so the full moon message that myself and Jen feel is important to share, has to do with energetic alignment, okay? Energetic alignment in the sense that if you've been consciously working on, especially in 2021, like really freeing yourself of layers of identity that have conditioned you unconsciously to what you've been conditioned unconsciously, and when you've made choices from that unconscious space, it's led you into a certain path of life that really doesn't actually mirror anything of joy and excitement and meaning and purpose in you. It's just kind of an expectation that you feel you need to do, right? And so this full moon comes into our awareness and points to where in 2021 you've been doing a lot of shedding away of these patterns of thinking, these belief systems, these internalized messages that you carry about what you think your life should be, what society expects of you to be, etc. Kind of just freeing yourself from that, and then really being present with what actually arises naturally within you, right? What is the essence of your true expression, right? Buried under all of this conditioning, who are you really, right? And so a lot of it has to do with, especially 2021, a lot of it has to do with kind of shedding away karma and being able to respond to life in a way where your sense of direction feels that you're on the right path, even though it doesn't actually mirror an extreme amount of clarity, but you get the sense that you are in resonance with something, yeah? So this full moon speaks to the initiation of commitment towards this alignment that you have been essentially working on through 2021, right? And when you look at the placement of the sun and the moon in the chart, you'll see that they're in cardinal signs, right? So you've got the sun in Capricorn, the moon in Cancer. And these archetypes speak to the expression of change, right? Initiation of change. And this is a period of time where the things that we are sort of changing or shifting to is a commitment to these values that you hold within yourself. So this Venus retrograde phase has been speaking to a few layers, right? One of the layers is, how have you been really connecting with, acknowledging, and recognizing your essential needs? And then through that process, how have you been forming a sense of identity that when you take action in your life, when you take choice in your life, you make choice, they are honoring those values, right? Those essential needs, right? Core principles. And when you form your structuring of your life around this and you order it in this way, you become able to be in a position of service to these values, right? And it feels meaningful. You feel in alignment with something that is of purpose. And it doesn't mean that, the essence of purpose is with us 24/7. We can always feel lost at times. But the essence of this chart here is pointing to, hey, by the way, we're about to make a big shift in a direction. And what you've been working on for the last year is the things that you're going to bring with you, right? You've been essentially becoming aligned with the things that is true to yourself. So this is an initiation of change. The Sun and Pluto connection speaks to both the elimination, right, of that which does not serve you, and it is the renewal and regrowth of the things that actually have meaning for you. Yeah. So this conjunction has really been kind of allowing us to get a sense of where there is a feeling of deadness in your life and where there is the potential to breathe fire into what it is that you wish to commit to, okay? So if we think about the nodes shifting into Taurus, Scorpio, and we think about like Uranus going direct, I spoke about this in the January update just a few days ago, that there's a kind of electric impulse that will move through us, right? And this electric impulse will create sudden moments of clarity and potentially accelerate your desire to want to commit to your sense of direction in your life, okay? Now, of course, everything exists in duality within the context of the astrology. So this is the potential for us to tap into. The other side of it is completely blocked, completely lost, completely, wayward, not even feeling a sense of what is that. And it's one thing that I think comes to mind for me, and maybe this is just my own conditioning, is there is no punishment here. It's not like you failed at something that you haven't got these things. It's a case of, are you paying attention to your life? Are you giving space for your truth to be cultivated, right? Are you allowing yourself the time to actually nurture the things that are real, relevant, and important to you? Yeah. And so it's just about questioning where you give that time to, and then allowing yourself to progressively cultivate that. So this full moon brings into awareness both the necessity for change and this is the other big piece over here, how do we emotionally process and digest? Okay, the Cancer Capricorn axis is our emotional home. Capricorn is the way that we house that, right? How do we take our arms and hold our emotions? And the Cancer archetype speaks to the sensitivity to nurture that which is important to us. So here we also have a collective shift in identity. How are you identifying with this new core set of structures or values? How are you not being able to identify with your essential needs, right? This duality again. So the question here with this full moon is initiating the emotional connection that we have not only internally within ourselves, but also to these value structures that we want to hold within ourselves or develop within ourselves. Okay, so that's a big thing that this full moon is speaking to. Now, going on to Pluto entering gate 60. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with what I'm saying, I encourage you to go onto the internet, just type in hexagram 60, and you'll find loads of content on the internet around these dynamics. Now, Pluto, within the context of moving into hexagram 60, speaks to the again, like elimination of the structures in our lives that are essentially dead. Okay, so what you're going to see with Pluto in gate 60 for a long period of time, I think it's like just under 2 years, is where the doors of our lives no longer will open for us, right? There is going to be limitation. This is the end phase of Capricorn. And Capricorn literally says, if you're going the right direction, you will feel that emotional fluid energy move through you. If you're in the wrong direction, it will feel like you're hitting up against a wall, and it's like there's no progress, you don't see any way out, and it's just limitation. And that's how initiation of change actually occurs within the context of Capricorn. So we're about to head into a time in which there is a tremendous amount of felt limitation. And with the North Node moving into Taurus and the South Node moving into Scorpio, you get to see where there's going to be limitation experienced, right? Supply chains have been severely disrupted, shopping centers, grocery stores, etc., things not being on the shelves, and the capacity to go, oh, I've always taken this for granted, or it's just always been there. You know, when I think about getting my milk, I think about it in the sense of I want to make some tea, but we never think about the actual process of where it starts and how it gets to the store, and what expectations or actions need to be executed in order to actually connect to that, right? To actually have that exist. And so it's going to be very emotionally upsetting for a lot of us when we begin to see that there is limitation in our environment and the comfort that comes along with that limitation, or with the things that are just in our environment, right? I don't have to think about it because it's always been there kind of thing. That emotional jolt is what the next 18 months is very much going to be about. Now, there's one or two choices here. You can either go, this is it, I'm suffering, it sucks, this is hell, and I'm just going to be miserable. Or you could take the evolutionary adaptation stage and you begin to pay attention to what's actually emerging within your life. And this is not easy, but it is another way, which is acceptance. Acceptance that that's what's happening. Acceptance that those are the things that are taking place, along with the popular idea that every astrologer has written about in some way, shape, or form, but probably not emotionally grasped the essence of what it really meant, was when Pluto enters Capricorn, it's going to, change the structure of our lives, right? It's going to reorientate the governmental structures and institutions, etc. But what we didn't pay attention to is what does it feel like when those structures have been stripped away, Pluto, to nothing there, and we go, oh, shit, I actually depended on a couple of these things over here, and I realized how much of us is a comfort. And now it's not there anymore, and that sucks. So we're heading into a phase of incredibly profound mutation. And the mutation is the capacity to recognize the way in which it is emerging for us. So some of you might go, okay, my job is going to end, right? Are you going to, you need to go through a grieving phase, of course, but at some point, are you going to then step back up and say, okay, well, what now? There is something that I can step into, and there is an entire space for me to give my time and attention to that, which maybe I've always dreamed of. So this is an invitation right now for the next 18 months to begin to see that where things are fading for you, right, there's also an opportunity simultaneously for you to fill it with something that you may actually really want to do with your life. And that there is going to be challenges in the beginning. There is going to be uncertainty and uncomfortability, and, but it's about going back to basics. And it's about actually grabbing life and saying, I'm going to take this on, and I'm going to I'm going to respond and connect to the things that actually reveal truth and, authenticity to me. And so this whole entire full moon energy is initiating this change. And we can either feel disempowered by the experience, or we can take the the bull by its horns, as it were, and allow for adaptation to occur. Even if right in the beginning, your brain will tell you, oh my God, I've got to think about this, and you just get overwhelmed and then it's hopeless. It's about just being really present with what is occurring and showing up for you and allowing yourself to be in continuation. Because the moment that you stay in stagnation with this current energy that's going to take place is the moment that everything collapses in yourself. Because you won't see the 3 year down the line self. You won't see yourself connecting with those who are in similar situations 3 months ahead. You will just see the dire situation of absence of meaning. Yeah? So the intention here is to really drive the acceptance that whatever it is that's going to change in your life over the next 18 months, that you allow yourself to flow with it and then let life bring you another pattern that will eventually bring you something that's of deeper meaning. Okay? We're heading into some really, really transformative times, and the most empowering thing that you can take with yourself is the perspective to mutate. All right? So I want to share that with you, and that's kind of a really strong through line that comes along with this full moon in Cancer. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go over to some chart work, and we're going to look at the chart of the full moon, look at the aspects, and then we'll come back and we'll do a summary. All right. Okay, so we're looking at the full moon chart, and as you can see, the sun sitting there at 27 degrees of Capricorn and the moon at 27 degrees of Cancer. Now, like I talked about in the earlier part of this video, these are cardinal signs. So we're talking about an initiation of change. Okay. Cardinal signs are about initiation of change. They also reflect the nature in which we can emotionally experience something, a scenario, a situation, how we emotionally connect to it, how we emotionally digest it, and then how we remember that experience through a crystallization of that memory, right? Of that experience, right? It's imprinted in us. So again, the cardinal signs, sun and moon, they're luminaries, they're speaking about change, and they're also talking about the process of crystallizing what has come before, and they're also speaking about the initiation of something that is to come, okay? And if we go ahead and look at the chart, we can clearly see that we've got the nodes shifting into new signs, South Node, North Node, Scorpio, Taurus, as you know. And then we also have Uranus going direct. So Uranus going direct and the nodes shifting, I would say that that's pretty much big change, right? And if we also go ahead and look over here, we'll see the new phase relationship between the sun and Pluto. So the sun has crossed Pluto. That's what I was talking about earlier about the elimination of attachments to something, right? And that something would be our inner emotional relationship to past beliefs, ideas, perspectives, points of views, and also values that we no longer hold true for us. We are essentially redefining ourselves. And the context of that redefinition is rooted in the internal relationship that you have to yourself and the way that you place that external relationship into the world, okay? So that inner outer relating function that I talked about earlier, and that is of course with Venus, right? Venus has been the big key component in this whole entire story. It's retrograde as well. So there you have Venus retrograde moving backwards, as we know, okay? And we also have Mercury retrograde. So again, even though there's information or energy that's moving forward, right? We're about to step into something new. We're also kind of still backtracking a bit and just paying attention to where the debris or sediments or leftover material that's lingering behind to just be freed from, okay? So again, the idea here is that we're taking one step forward, experiencing something, then reflecting on that process, and then moving 2 steps forward, reflecting on that process, and moving 3 steps forward. And of course, throughout this next month, we'll be kind of moving in that territory and trying new things out, not getting a lot of environmental feedback that says, hey, you're doing a good job, And so in that whole entire experience of moving forward and not getting that feedback and allowing yourself to sort of, can I trust this? Do I have confidence? You want to just feel into that and you want to lean into that. It's okay. You don't need to have everything correct all at once. You don't need to know what that trajectory is. You just need to be making small steps and acknowledging and committing to the new self, right? And just allowing that to become a pattern of behavior. So that initiation of a pattern of behavior is what will allow for forward movement to take place, okay? So in this chart over here, again, speaking to the change, crossing a threshold, feeling free, allowing yourself to be able to actually let go, like move away from the past. Now, within the context of this story, okay, I want to just touch base here with Chiron and the square to Venus. If you look over here, let's make this a bit bigger for us. Okay, there you can see the Chiron, Venus, and it's squaring to Chiron. That aspect, that's the aspect that gives us the feeling of I'm venturing into something new and I feel free but uncertain about it, okay? The other part of that aspect is, oh, I don't want to move forward in this direction because I'm fearing something. So both of these polarities will exist. And what you want to do is you want to lean into, like I shared earlier, I'm trying this out. I'm trying it for the first time. It might be a little bit uncomfortable. That's okay. I don't need to have it right. I just need to begin to honor what is correct for me, begin to align with what is correct for me, okay? So that aspect over there speaks volumes to the need for moving forward in that direction. If we close this up and we go over to the Mars with the Neptune, I'm just going to the personal planets here, okay? There's the square that's taking place between Mars and Neptune. And remember earlier in this video, I talked about Pluto moving into gate 60, and this is about limitation. And we're going to see limitation. Now, the door is closing. The doors are closing. And if you keep on trying to go through the closing door, you're going to feel that sensation of being blocked. And the natural response is getting angry. Getting angry at this. Now, in the context of Mars Neptune, it's like you can go ahead and you can be angry, but it's going to feel like you're on an ocean with a little boat. You have no land in sight, and you've got your arms kind of rowing as fast as possible. Mars, 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 right? Fast as possible. And eventually you get tired, you get worn out, and you eventually then need to surrender. So save the energy, surrender to the process, recognize that door's closed, and begin to shift your attention and your awareness to the things that feel exciting to you, that feel that elicit some sense of curiosity, right? To move into, and to try new things out that are allowing you to essentially not feel like you're banging your head against the wall. Okay, so that Mars square Neptune will create the sensation of emptiness and feeling like I'm not moving anywhere, I'm stuck. And at the same time, you want to be recognizing that that's okay, because that energy is no longer there, it's faded away, and that your direction needs to come from an internal place as opposed to an external place. So you might see a direction in your life that's based on society's expectations, or this is what you should become, and yet internally you're screaming, going, this is not who I am, this is not what I want, but I'm doing this because there's an internal lack within me. And you want to heal that internal lack so that you can give your time and attention to the things that are actually illuminating and creative for you, so that your purpose and your ability to actually allow purpose to mature in you comes from a place of authenticity, of genuineness. Okay, so let limitation push you into the direction that is real and actually exciting for you, as opposed to like feeling like you're trapped, which is going to feel like the case. Okay, so just kind of words of wisdom there with that archetype. The last thing I'll look at in the chart here is just the Uranus, of course. Uranus is making, again, some aspects. Oops, let's get it bigger. There's Uranus, and it's the square to Saturn. It's the trine to Venus. and the square to Mercury. I mean, the Sesqui's quadrate is there, but it's insignificant in many ways. So let's just do with the Mercury square, right? Again, Mercury and Uranus are if we had to translate that into reality, Mercury is the capacity to gather information in the moment, and Uranus is the hard drive where all of the experiences get stored, okay? So Mercury square Uranus is the tension that we're experiencing as we essentially gather new information, right, as we want to move forward, but we're also processing what we have been doing for the last 2 months. So this Mercury square is, oh, I want to move forward, which I've been sharing, but then there's also that sense of I'm processing what is in my hard drive that I never got an opportunity to take a look at because I was busy, right? So with Mercury square, allow yourself to free yourself. This is the Uranian impulse, to free yourself from any thinking that still holds you back, okay? The Venus trine Uranus is the beautiful connection where the cycles are saying, here's where that tension that you want to free your mind from is actually going to really deeply support your relationship to yourself and the values and the essential needs that you've been working on throughout 2021, which is what the Saturn-Uranus square has been about. So the scaffolding, imagine like you imagine scaffolding in your mind's eye, and imagine that scaffolding is holding the structure of your integrity, right, of your life direction. That trine with Venus and Uranus is allowing for the acceleration of that inner relationship that you have to yourself to be succinct and structured and anchored and aligned with the scaffolding in you, so that you've got that core sense of, this is me, this is how I relate, this is who I resonate with and such, okay? So it's promoting the freeing up of any debris, any like maladaptive software that you have in your psychology that stops you from really accessing the deeper states of truth that you have within inside of yourself, okay? Now, the Saturn and Uranus square has got 2 layers to it. I've talked about this earlier. And the first layer is happening at a collective level, okay? And so what we experience at a collective level is a complete reordering of the structure in which a society or a collective wants to rule itself and govern itself. And you can see how that pattern across the entire board of the world has been playing out. And Saturn being the dominant planet in this relationship between Uranus and Saturn, the way that we're going to respond to this is, if there's more chaos, Uranus, we need to put more order in place. So that's why you'll see things like in Australia, for instance, in Canada, where the way to approach dealing with chaos or uncertainty has come through more structure, right? More order and more rules, more regulations. And again, Saturn is the edge of our ego identity. So whenever we do order things, it's coming from the Cancer archetype, which is, how do I find safety and security? How do I protect, right? You put a wall around your house. You put a wall around your house, Saturn, because you want to protect the things that are inside, Cancer. These archetypes are transcendent. There's no like human influence in them. So protecting your house is the same application as, say, for instance, people responding to chaos as a need to create more order. There's no good or bad in it. It's just what it is. And Saturn is the archetype that is reflecting the need to order relative to something that is causing a threat, okay? And so here, that's the response of the collective. But internally, it's something very different. The internal process with Uranus and Saturn is, Uranus is actually creating the necessary destabilization to fracture that which is outdated, that which has become senescent. And in response to that, it can feel like, oh my God, there's chaos, we need to create more order. And so in your life, 2021 was the ability to be able to reorder your life that was actually about freeing yourself, not creating more structure to create more sort of like restriction. And that's the paradox that exists between the collective manifestation of it and the internal manifestation of it. So this full moon is an initiator where if 2021 was I'm freeing myself internally from my own limitations, this full moon is a liberation from that. It's like a culmination point. It's like, hey, by the way, good job on what you did. Throughout 2021, if the primary dominance was Saturn and you closed down, this full moon will usher in more of the fear that takes place. So it's a really interesting kind of aspect between the two. And I hope that you understand what I'm talking about here. So as we kind of moved later on into January and throughout 2022, these dynamics will be very clear to us internally and to the collective. And if you see it through that lens, you'll actually see how impactful that Saturn Uranus has actually been for us throughout 2021, and how it's laid the railway tracks for the direction that people are essentially going to be going into. So a big thing. All right, so let's go back to the charts and we'll just quickly look at one more thing. I think we've covered quite a lot in this over here. Lastly, just kind of looking at the Jupiter, it's in Pisces. As we know, it's going to be moving closer and closer to Neptune. And again, everything that occurs right now in April, when that conjunction takes place, it will just amplify. So you'll see a lot of what I've talked about today, you'll see materialize from sort of the end of February, March onwards. You'll see this materialize into the collective and internally with people. The more limitation, the more fear, the more like absence, like we've got to pray to God kind of thing, or more liberation and more reordering that allows for that liberation to be really, really experienced. And then that Neptune feels like a deep meaning, right? There's a freedom component that comes along with this, okay? All right, guys. So I really hope that you got some value from what I've been sharing today. I really hope that the chart work also gave you the astrological perspective of what I've been sharing with you earlier in the video. And, you can take your own chart and see where these transits are occurring for you and what is essentially going to be mutating for you individually as well. And just kind of, looking at the current astrology at the moment. And like I said right in the beginning, just taking a moment to just breathe, okay? Because this can be incredibly emotionally turbulent if we kind of, buy into the shadow projections, right? We buy into the fear, buying into the, oh my gosh, everything is disappearing around us right now and life is going to become, awful. And then needing to re-secure something, right? So going back to the past, because there will be that pattern. There is going to be a tendency with this Capricorn energy and Jupiter currently squaring the nodes to want to go back to the past. And nothing bad is going to happen. It will just literally feel like things need to be consistently maintained in order for them to stay. And that's true. Like, things do need to be maintained. But when the energy of life force is no longer present there, it's going to be a lot more difficult to actually maintain that. And so your own life force becomes dissipated, right? And you're not in alignment with the people that are meant to change your psychological and emotional landscape. You're not in alignment with the people that are going to reveal to you who you resonate with and not. Does that make sense? So it's a good opportunity to practice a state of just presence with the things that are changing, waking up every single day, taking care of your emotional self, allowing whatever big emotions to come to the surface, being present with them, accepting that this is intense if that's what you would go through, and then allowing those things to let go. Breathing is a very important thing, right? Breath work. And just coming back down to taking each day as it comes and responding to the things that are real and exciting and interesting to you, right? Even if it scares you, right? Even if it scares you. Like, life is taking risks, and there are going to be risks that are going to be intense and there are going to be small risks. But if you're not allowing yourself to cross a threshold where the potential for something great could happen in your life, then you're not living at all. And this is a time where these intense limitations are going to reveal the potential for a mutation into a new direction to take place. Okay? So if that is something that you are currently processing, right? I've said, both me and Jen have shared this, that if you want us to, in some way, shape, or form, support you in a way, if you're looking for actual transformation, if you're looking to understand yourself at a better level, to make sense of the world individually for you, beneath this video, there's an actual link. And yeah, set up a 15-minute call with us, right? Let's see if we can connect to your needs, if you can share some of your situation with us, and let's see if there's a way for us to be able to support you. We've got an awesome metamorphosis program that is designed specifically for intense transformational work. That's something that is available to those that really want to spend some time really focusing on that. There's another program that we do have as well that we can support people with as well. If those things are compatible with you and there's an opportunity maybe for us to support you, then I invite you onto a call to see if we can actually connect and see if there's a potential. Okay, so beneath this video is a link to just fill out a form so we can know what your needs are and what your current situation is, and then you schedule a call with both me or Jen, and we'll be able to see if we can help you. Okay, all right. So that's it for today. I really hope that you got a lot of value in this video, guys. Once again, thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing some of your comments, how you've been experiencing this full moon, and until the next video, take care. Bye-bye.